Welcome, Shawn. It
Thank you.
is so great to speak to you. I will just give a bit of background of our history. So Shawn and I met, can you believe it, Shawn? Probably next week it is 10 years.
It can't be.
It is. I promise you, we
We're not
met
that old.
in Germany. Yes, absolutely. And Shawn and I met because we were in the same team in our corporate roles. Shawn started a few months before me, relocated from the US, and I relocated from Singapore. So Shawn and I have kept up contact and our friendship. We've had a few holidays all over the world. And so I'm just delighted to have you, Shawn. I think you will have lots to offer to my community because your content is just fantastic.
Oh,
So I want to just give everyone a bit of background on you. So Shawn has, as you know, she's been in corporate for over 30 years. That's where we met. And she also worked in Europe for 2 years on senior director level. And 2 years ago, Shawn did her executive coaching certification at Berkeley and subsequently started her coaching career as well as an executive coach. So Shawn also has a superpower, which is she can make anyone feel better or increase your mood or increase your energy. So it had happened many times when I relocated, just like when you relocated to a new country or move into a new role, that you have your low moments and you need a picker-upper, and Shawn was always my picker-upper. So Shawn, that is definitely one of your superpowers for sure.
thank you.
So Shawn, tell us a bit about yourself and what you have created in your executive coaching business in the last 2 years.
Okay. So I think you said quite a bit. Well, let me back up. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be to be here with you. So thank you for having me. So I think you kind of said it all. I've been corporate world for a little over 30 years. 2 years ago, I decided, you know what, it's time to make a change. And I didn't step out yet. I kind of did both for a little bit, but what I really enjoyed about being a leader and all the things that I did in the corporate world was developing people and helping them achieve their dreams, et cetera. So, so 2 years ago, I got my executive coaching certification. And then last year decided to step completely out and really work with people. I work with, I think, men and women both. But I'm particularly passionate about working with women, career-minded women who are seeking to thrive in the corporate world, because that's kind of my own experience. But yeah, I think that kind of sums it up.
Okay, excellent. And Shawn, what was one of the biggest challenges that you've seen from your coachees and your clients when it comes to their careers?
Oh gosh, it's I'm going to say this, and this is for both men and women. I've had, I feel, the honor of being able to work with and coach some really, really talented people, and people who are motivated to get to that next level or what have you. And I think the biggest thing that I see is that they have everything behind being able to achieve what they want, but they're not reaching for it. And to me, that's a lot of what we work on is just getting them to the point of recognizing, all of their superpowers, right? Taking advantage of them, developing the things that will make them even better, and then have them reach for what they want and not necessarily succeed the first time, but it's the first step, because eventually they'll get there.
And what would you say is the reason for them not reaching for it?
Probably, that's a great question. I mean, I think it's, everyone, has their own individual reasons and things like that, but it's usually centered around confidence. And what I mean by that is the folks that I work with have confidence. Everybody has, a confidence, but there's probably one thing that you and I can both say, me too. All of us will say, you know what, there's an area where I'm not confident. And unfortunately, so many people, we lead with those areas versus where our power is and where our confidence is. And so really it's about, to me, centering around that power and then moving forward in those areas that we're not so confident. But then as we gain experience, we become successful. That makes sense. Or gain that confidence, and then that really contributes to our success.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I always say that in my experience, confidence is situational. And it's just because in some situations we feel more confident, in other situations just not, especially if it's new, or there's external factors that makes us feel less confident.
Exactly. I always say with experience breeds confidence, and you're exactly right. It's those situations.
Yeah, excellent. So you have a very interesting tool set, which is called the Understand, Grow, Change tool set. Tell us about that.
So Understand, Grow is essentially an approach that I've developed, and it was really aimed at helping career-minded women succeed in the corporate world. Really, is what it's about. And there's essentially 3 prongs to it. The first part is understand, and it's essentially about helping women and men understand what the challenges are in the workplace for women in particular, and how they affect their career, right? The impact that they have on their career. And then the second piece, grow, is essentially about the actions that really anyone can take, but the actions that women can take to succeed in the corporate world despite these challenges, right? And then finally, change is about eventually together with the men and women that I support, affecting real change in the workplace that makes it a more friendly place for everyone in terms of gender diversity and just diversity in general.
Excellent. Because when I looked at your website as well, under Understand, you speak about networks and building sponsors. Can you elaborate on that, or share with us maybe an example or a tip, or what you mean by that?
So particularly with Understand, so Understand is about the challenges that women face. And there's essentially 2, what I call groups. There's the systemic, kind of bias that exists in the workplace, or gender bias that exists in the workplace. And there's also kind of behavioral bias, meaning the differences between the way men and women, process information and act that's a challenge for women. And what you're talking about is networking. And what we're finding is there's a lot of studies out there that show that men are more likely to network or to build their networks than women are, and at a younger age. The other thing about men is that they also their networks are comprised of much higher level individuals. So now you've got I'm networking earlier. I'm networking in general, and I'm building out a network of senior people that are going to help me succeed in my career, which is great. It's just that women are less likely to do those things, and then that has the opposite impact on hers.
What do you think is the reason for that? Why would women not network earlier or at higher level?
That's a great question. There's probably a lot of things around that, but I think one of the things is that I've at least found is it's around or centered around portraying confidence. Now, I don't mean having confidence, because I think men and women both have confidence. It really depends on the individual, et cetera. But one thing that that studies are showing is that men are more likely to raise their hand when they're uncertain. And I always say it's like men and women are hearing different questions, meaning that a man may hear, and I'll use this as an example. A man may hear, are you 100% qualified to do a certain role? Or to your point, to reach out to someone and say, I'd really like you to sponsor me, or I'd really like you to mentor me because I have these abilities. Men are more likely to say, I want you to help me get there, where a woman almost thinks that she already has to be there before she taps someone on the shoulder and says, hey, I'd really like you to sponsor me, or I'd really like you to mentor me.
It's interesting. It's fascinating, really. Amazing. Okay, so building sponsors tweaked my interest, as well as under Grow, you speak a lot also about confidence. Do you have one or two tips for both women and men to build confidence in the areas where we might not feel that way?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this before. To me, I always say, and I love the way you put it, is situational confidence. When someone comes to me and they say, hey, I want to build my confidence, the first thing I want to do is find where their confidence is, because they usually have a pretty nice list of where they're not confident. Maybe that's presenting or being confident around senior leaders or what have you. But really what I want to do is I want to find out where their confidence is, because everyone has it. I'm really great at my job, or I have a superpower of some sort. So when that confidence that they do have, it's a source of their power. And I think you said it before, is if you can use that source of your power to build the courage to try, or try to do something that you don't have as much confidence in, that's going to give you experience. And when you have more experience, it's going to build your confidence, right? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a lot like what you just said. So to me, a tip for someone to do is if you feel like you're not confident in a situation, step back and first discover, where are you confident? And sit in that a moment and know that that's your power, and then draw upon that to help you develop and get that courage to, dip your foot in the pond, step into where you are, to where you feel less confident.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, it's about looking at the positive, right? I think we do have a negativity bias and focus on everything that we can develop and do better. And we don't always give ourselves the credit for the things that's really going well already.
Yeah. And that's really, a lot of that's biological. I mean, we focus on the negative as animals in order to keep us safe, right? Mm-hmm. So stepping back and really focusing on that positive first kind of recenters you. And again, it's a great source of your own power.
Excellent. And then change. So in change, you speak a lot about coaching. And personally, I'm also a coach. And the reason why I did my certification and why I have my coaching clients is because I believe I've never seen, or I haven't seen a lot of tools bring change like coaching can bring. Mm-hmm. So tell us about coaching and your experience with behavioral change through this.
So change is really that piece of my approach is really about what organizations can do to change the workplace and bring about gender diversity. And so there's really two pieces where coaching kind of fits into this. There are probably much more, but two big pieces for me. And that is first, knowing that there are challenges, there's bias in the workplace, and there's systemic challenges for women. And there's also behavioral differences. It's really important for organizations to, and I also say it's not just change, it's for individuals to invest in themselves and utilize a coach, but have a coach that helps you navigate those changes. Mm-hmm. So things like those systemic bias, how best can you navigate them? How best can you make them work for you? Also, some of the things that we just talked about, confidence and things like that, some things that would hold you back from doing, for men and women, right, to do the things that will get them to the next level. So So coaching for me, for the individual, is just super helpful to dig down into what's holding you back. What are your unique challenges that you're discovering so that you can, or that you have, so that you can, and get past them so that you can succeed. So that would be the first piece. Mm-hmm. And then the second area is for organizations to really think about providing coaching for their current leadership and managers, because we all have bias. I do too. I always say I recognize leadership traits probably more readily in men than I do women, and I am a woman, right? So we all have these bias. So it's kind of not really realistic for us to assume that our managers that exist today, men and women, that they know how to best develop a woman, or that they know how to best recognize those traits in a woman versus a man, because we all have those biases, right? So I always say, invest in coaching for your leaders, for your existing leaders as well, men and women, so that they can help make these changes for you.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you, Shawn. So there is a lot more to read about Shawn's toolset. Her website is on the blog, so you can go and visit her website and contact and speak to Shawn directly. Shawn is also on LinkedIn. Shawn's LinkedIn profile is also in the blog, so you are welcome to connect with her. Shawn, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to speak to you, and I, in this moment, miss you so much, all the way from Germany to San Francisco. Maybe we should, when we can comfortably travel again, meet somewhere in the middle for another trip.
I think that's a great idea. I think I want to come to Europe, though.
Okay, then my home is open for you and Ken Codger.
Yay.
Okay, Shawn, thank you very much.
Thank you.